Just hang on a minute, gentlemen and lady. We've got Mr. Umar Ardo, the governorship candidate of the Social Democratic Party for Adamawa. So remember, we did bring you some news that he had withdrawn his case, his appeal against the Adamawa State Governor at the Supreme Court. So a lot had tried to find out what was going on, given his previous stance. So he joins us on the line now to give us to shed some light on why that news came through. Good morning, Mr. Ardo. Thank you for joining us on the program today. So could you tell us, why did you withdraw your case?
Okay, thank you very much, Chamberlain. Actually, it's Dr. Ardo. I would like to keep my doctor.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Now, as I told you, you are the first to tell me that my case have been withdrawn. I didn't know. I spoke with my lawyers in the morning, and though I didn't see the senior counsel, but I texted him a good luck around 9 something in the morning, and then maybe about 50 minutes or so later, he then called me and said that my case. I told you I didn't know. So, but the lawyers called me and they just briefed me, and they told me what transpired in court. There were 2 cases. One, that of the cross appeal for the governor, and then my own appeal. So the court started with the cross appeal, and from what my lawyers briefed me is that the court was telling the cross appellant that they didn't know what they were saying. So, but still the court said, however, when we treat the next case, the main appeal, it will affect you. And so my case was called and appearances were made, and then the court started asking, questions, that were not in congruence, with what they should. But anyway, the court, insisted that our lawyers must make an application. And in the jargon of the law, of the court processes, when the court or the judge at the bench tells you at the bar, the lawyer, that make the application, that the implication is that you should just withdraw. And so my lawyer now made an application and withdrew. I did not know. It was my case. This is the second time the Supreme Court is doing that, to me. The first time was in 2014, in the case that I took against President Goodluck Jonathan for contesting for 2015 elections. Now, in the case of the 5 PDP governors, the Supreme Court, led by then Justice Onoge, the former Chief Justice of Nigeria, made a judgment and said that no governor and president shall remain in office for a cumulative period exceeding 8 years. For a cumulative period exceeding 8 years. And that they said these 8 years, like Justice Onoge put it, is like the rock of Gibraltar. It cannot be moved, not for a day. Jonathan Chen, PDP gave him nomination to contest election for another term. By then, if Jonathan had contested, President Jonathan had contested and won, he would have been in office for 9 years, 23 days, because he already had 5 years, 23 days to his credit as the president. The Supreme Court said no president or governor can remain in office for a cumulative period exceeding 8 years. So if Jonathan contested, Jonathan would have exceeded the 8 years. So I went to court. Other than all the issues of preliminary objections and this and that, we at the end of the day, we were at the Supreme Court. For 42 minutes, the Supreme Court was insisting, withdraw. Because the truth is that the Supreme Court cannot give another judgment that will not conflict with its earlier judgment that no governor and president can remain in office for a cumulative period exceeding 8 years. So the only way is withdraw. But the same thing also happened today. Withdraw. Although the court, to be fair, did not open its mouth, it says, but that the court and the bar, they are one and the same thing. They said, make the application. So our lawyers made the application. Now, I spent a lot of money in this state. I spent a lot of money in the politics. I spent a lot of money in going to court, from tribunal to the Supreme Court. But it seems that I, as Dr. Ardo, I don't have court to go to. Not that I don't have a case. My case in the Supreme Court, which they force a withdrawal, you cannot beat it.
So Dr. Ardo,
an issue where
Dr. Ardo, you don't feel justice has been served, and so you're angry at this.
What are you talking about? There is a miscarriage of justice against me. There's a huge miscarriage of justice against me. The Supreme Court is telling me for the second time that I don't have a court to go to. Whatever it is, let the court determine the matter on the merits. Everything is before it.
Dr. Ardo, it is interesting that you say this.
Let me tell you another interesting thing.
Just before you do that, sir, I'm really seeking clarification on this, because you say the Supreme Court has miscarried justice against you. When the Supreme Court hasn't said a thing in your case, it is your own lawyers who have withdrawn your case from the Supreme Court.
Well, the lawyers saw according to their briefing, saw the body language of the court. The court came with very strong body language, trying to move, on one direction. The court even brought an issue that is not in contention, issue of number of votes. The issue of number of votes is not in contention in my appeal. My appeal is that based on section 24, is it 24, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that if these things happen, you must, the law says you should notify it. And the law empowers the candidate, any candidate, to go to court.
All right, Dr. Ardo, well, we'll keep tabs with this matter and get to hear a lot more on this as it does progress. But we do thank you for talking to us this morning on this matter.